Hello, Tri-Cities, and welcome to the 2020 Candidate Forum, the only region-wide business-focused candidate forum in the Tri-Cities, brought to you by the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce. In this forum, you'll be hearing from the candidates running for Benton County Commissioner Position 3. Now, I'm Scott Stovall, the news anchor at Keeper Action News. Very pleased to be with you. So early voting starts as ballots will begin appearing in mailboxes on October 13th, runs through Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd. So we want to thank you for joining us to hear the candidates' thoughts on issues that matter to the Tri-Cities community. And now, a message from the President and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce, Lori Matson.
As the foremost advocate and voice for business, the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce leads by advancing policies and positions that strengthen, preserve, and promote a thriving business climate, economy, and quality of life. The 2020 candidate forums are designed to highlight how candidate positions integrate with local business priorities. I'd like to take a brief moment to thank the Chamber's Board of Directors and Local Government Affairs Committee for their leadership in supporting our advocacy efforts. I'm especially pleased and grateful for the support of the candidate forum sponsors, Cascade Natural Gas, Gisa Credit Union, JLH Group, and Hayden Homes. And last but not least, a very special thanks to our local news partners for collaborating on this project. Your time, talent, and expertise are valued and truly appreciated.
All right, thanks a lot, Lori. And it's a pleasure to serve the community by providing opportunities for voters to become better informed about the people who are running for public office. Now to the format. So each candidate will have 1 minute for opening and closing statements. The candidates will be asked the same questions. Response time for each question is limited to 2 minutes. Time limit reminders will appear on screen at 10 seconds remaining, and if necessary, when time is up. Since this is a forum, candidates will not be provided rebuttal time. So now we are ready to get started. Let's begin by introducing in alphabetical order the two candidates for Benton County Commissioner Position 3. The incumbent is Jim Beaver, and the challenger is Will McKay. So welcome, both of you, and thank you very much for taking time to be with us. We appreciate both of you. So if you're ready to go, let's go ahead and get started. As mentioned, we will start with opening statements. So Mr. Beaver, we will begin in alphabetical order with your opening statement. You have 1 minute.
Well, thank you, Scott. It's an opportunity to talk to the community one more time. My name is Jim Beaver. Married. I live in Kennewick since 1972. I have 2 grown children and 4 grandchildren. I've served in the capacity of county commissioner for 12 years. Before that, I was a Kennewick City Council member for 18 years, and I spent 13 years as the mayor of Kennewick. This year, I completed 30 years of public service, and so I've put 30 years into the local government to see if we couldn't follow my dream of building a better community. That's been my passion. That's been my goal. We do that through cooperation, and I'm excited about the challenges that we face, and I'm also excited about the opportunity to come up with solutions. Again, it's been an honor for me over the last 30 years to
All right. If you wanted to finish that sentence, Jim, you can, or if you want to go ahead and close it up there, that's fine.
We'll close it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jim. Appreciate that. Okay, Mr. McKay, you now have 1 minute for your opening statements.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Will McKay, Benton County Commissioner, District 3 is what I'm running for. Local Kennewick, graduated from Southard High School, and I'm a general contractor and also own another business here in town. And what got me interested in running was driving down the road after the 30-day stay at home and found out that Franklin County was writing a letter to the governor. And I looked into to see what our commissioners were doing for us in Benton County, and we weren't getting any letters written yet. So we finally wrote a letter 42 days after the 30-day stay at home. And for me as a business owner, that's 42 days late. I felt that our commissioners aren't working for us. They are not representing us well. And so that's why I'm stepping in the race. I feel like I can bring a business aspect to Benton County, a budgeting and also a leadership aspect to the county, and represent the constituents a lot better than what's being represented now. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Will. So now let's move right into the question and answer portion of the forum. So a coin toss just prior to the taping has determined that Mr. Beaver will answer the first question, and then we will alternate for subsequent questions. So the first question will go to Jim Beaver. So let's go to this. Question number one. If you could change one thing in Benton County that, if implemented, would allow for profitable development, business success, and a broadened tax base, what would it be and why?
It would be development costs, approaching that arena, and I've seen it since my career started, that development is hindered by the costs associated with either infrastructure or roads or streetlights or the kinds of things that affect the contractors. I used to meet with the contractors periodically when I was the mayor, and we'd go through the reasons why they're having a hard time. And we formed a committee and tried to work on a solution set to see if we couldn't solve some of those issues. I heard a lot about building permit fees. And so my experience was I spent 5 years on the Washington State Building Code Council going over the rules. Before it was over with, I finished my term there. The last 3 years, I was chairman of the Building Code Council, which represented a broad range of industry folks who had good ideas about helping them move forward. I come from a long line of construction workers, so I'm pretty familiar with the construction industry. So there we go.
All right, Mr. McKay. All right. One thing I think that would help benefit the county and also bring in revenue into the county would be a mental facility. I do know about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, they did a study and spent about $500,000 on a mental facility to bring here in the Tri-Cities. And how awesome would that be to join together with Walla Walla County, Franklin County, all the counties around us, and bring a mental facility in here and bring in revenue to the county, and also help out with the homeless issues that we're having and the drug issues that we're having. Make it a rehab, make it a learning facility for those people that are having a hard time. Also, too, in the construction industry, which I'm very familiar with too, is the property permits. There's a ton of permit fees, TIF fees, traffic impact fees, that some jobs don't go because of the fees are so expensive. And so we do need to find a better way to lower those costs so that owners will come to the contractors and have those projects done. I do know that there is a environmental group in Seattle that is doing a lot of things to hold a lot of our development growth back. And I'm hoping to build a relationship with those people so that we can start growing our more neighborhoods, to bring more people in and to grow this community, to bring in more tax revenue to help spread it throughout the whole community.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for those answers to question number one. So question number two, Will McKay, you will be answering this one first. Tri-Citians place a high value on living and doing business in a safe community. How do you plan to address civil unrest around law enforcement and race relations, as well as mental health and drug addiction?
So I guess I kind of answered that one from the first question. I'm really strong. I'm encouraging strongly to work on a mental facility. There's a lot for me to learn when I get in there. My question is, why are we doing an administration office, focusing on that and not a mental facility? Why can't we do some remodeling to try to save some money and on the administration office, but yet do a mental facility? One other thing too that I've seen an issue with is our public safety tax. When that got in effect, I want to say 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was a great opportunity to spread throughout our first responders. And the city of Kennewick was very fast at using that money for the first responders. But yet Benton County, we're just tapping into that money right now. I mean, there's $13-14 million, and we're finally going into it now. And I believe that we're going into it because it's a campaign year. There was a radio tower that have gotten put up 3-5 years ago. There was a young lady, a little girl that died at 3 years old because the deputy could not get any service. And now that radio tower just got approved 2-3 months ago, basically 5 years after it should, 5 years late, basically. In the construction industry, we shouldn't, going through permitting process, it takes maybe a year, 2 at the most. That radio tower should have been up 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So coming in, answering that question, long story short, I'm hoping to use the public safety tax a lot better than it's being used, and used for what it's approved for and not approved for, but yet also to work on the mental facility and the homeless and training them, having them rehab, coaching them, and bettering their lives as well.
All right. Thank you for your answer, Mr. Beaver.
We'll continue to support the programs that we put into place. We do a drug court. We do mental health court. And so we've pushed the money out the door. And that's what you can do in a budget cycle. So the money was being collected, and a lot more money came in than anybody had anticipated. And it was not budgeted to be spent. So it accumulated in an account. Once the budget cycle caught up, the money was directed into the community. So those balances aren't where they used to be. They're a lot lower, and the resources are pushed out the door. We had a law enforcement community that spent a lot of time and effort to develop the plans for how the money was going to be spent. The Law and Justice Council and the Commissioner's Office wanted to follow as closely as possible the recommendations of the Law and Justice Council. And in my mind, they're the professional people that understand where the resources need to go. My job as a commissioner was to collect the money and disperse it out into their programs that they think is beneficial for our community. So I, as a commissioner, relied upon the law enforcement community, the mental health community, and I will continue to do that as I'm a county commissioner. With respect to the mental health facilities, they were talked about those when I first got on the city council in 1990, over 30 years ago, and they're still being talked about. Those discussions never come to any kind of conclusion, so it's hard to focus on where those resources need to go.
All right, thank you. Let's go to question 3, and Mr. Beaver, you will be answering this one first. How do you see Benton and Franklin counties collaborating together and with other municipalities to solve shared problems and advance regional initiatives?
I see us doing it in the same framework that we have. We do have arrangements where we have committees, and numerous committees where cities are on those. They're bi-county operations. The only rub that I've ever seen between the counties with respect to these cooperation efforts is the percentage of money that's being paid by one county as opposed to another. So that's feedback that I get from the voters who are pretty adamant that, hey, if this is going to be 50-50, then it should be 50-50. But a lot of these arrangements are 70% Benton County taxpayers paying and 30% Franklin County. So that creates a pretty big issue for those who see some inequity in some of these programs. We continue to try to foster those programs. We continue to try to have bi-county operations because I do think they're beneficial. We just need to answer the equity problem. And so I have a responsibility to my constituents who I represent to kind of make sure that they're not taken advantage of. And so I take that pretty seriously.
All right, thank you. Mr. McKay?
So go along with Mr. Beaver's comments. I agree that we need to stay together. The river shouldn't divide us. We should look into how much money the two counties are putting in and how much the two counties are putting out, and make it whether it's 70% Benton County's putting in, then 70% Benton County should be putting out. So we need to find out and make sure that is an equal share. I strongly disagree. People are talking about splitting the judiciary system between Franklin and Benton County. As a business owner, when you start splitting things up, it costs more. There's more cost between the two when you're splitting it up. So I strongly believe that we should keep our relationships close together and work together between Benton and Franklin County. And that's one other thing too why I ran. My question is why didn't we submit a letter with Franklin County when Franklin County wrote a letter to the governor to let us ask him to say, hey, Mr. Governor, can we control our own county? Let us educate our own business owners. Let us have the opportunity to control our hospitals. Shame on us if our hospitals get overran, but let us control our county, not the governor, not someone else, but let the commissioners, let the health district work together between the counties. How much stronger would it have been if we had a letter to the governor with Walla Walla County, Franklin County, all the counties surrounding us, to the governor saying, hey, 30 days stay at home is done and over with. Please let us open up. Let us control our health district. Let us control it, educate the owners, and let the customers have the opportunity to come into the place of establishment, whether they feel safe or not. So I feel that the communication between Benton and Franklin County, there needs to be a better communication between the two so that we can work together and open up. Just recently, in August, 2 deaths in August for COVID. And we don't have a letter yet to the governor to get to phase 2 yet. That hasn't been written.
All right, thank you. So now to the final question 4, and Mr. McKay, you will be answering this first. So what are your top 2 priorities for Benton County, and how has COVID changed your perspective?
So my top 2 are basically, my number 1 is the communication. I brought that up earlier. Why wasn't a letter written together? Why was Benton County's letter 42 days after the 30-day stay at home? Why was the letter not written to the governor within the first week to the governor saying, hey, let us open up? So that's number 1 is the communication. The mental facilities, another main one. And then budgeting. We need to do a better job at budgeting. On Tuesday at the meeting, there was a open meeting to the public. A gentleman came in and said that he messed up on a $2,000 work order. And he said, don't worry, the $2,000 work order is, we have it in the budget. It's there. We can use it. Because the rule is if there's anything over $5,000, you have to have 3 bids. And they didn't have 3 bids. He made a mistake. But then after hearing that there was money on the budget, a gentleman said, and it's online and you can read it, the gentleman said, if there's money on the table, I'm going to take it and run with it. That right there goes to show that they are not caring about our money and our budget. It's our money that we are supplying to the county, and we should take better care of that money. Even though it's $2,000, that $2,000 adds up to a lot more. And then the COVID thing, as a business owner, I've had 1 business close since March 15th. It's time to act. It's time to go back to the governor and say, let us open up. Gyms are finally opening up. There's a lot of businesses open up. There's a lot of other health issues that are happening with this, suicidal deaths. Like I said earlier, we only have 2 deaths in August, and we only have 1 death right now in September. 1 death. And our cases are down. Our hospitals are way down. So we need to be more aggressive, and we need to represent our constituents better than what's happening right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. McKay. Mr. Beaver, your final comment.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today, speak candidly about the subjects that face our community. I think that top 2 priorities for me would be budget and planning for the future. And I'll talk about planning for the future for a second. We instituted some water right applications. We purchased more water. So what does that mean? It means guys that want to develop land or grow agriculture or do those kind of things in our community to help stimulate the economy we can continue to do so. So what the county went ahead and we purchased water rights from like Moxie and other water districts. And that was just a transfer so that we could use well water and it wouldn't stifle our community from building permits. Like neighboring counties got into trouble. So what they told them was no more building because we don't have enough water. So that was a big red flag for me. So my top priority would be to continue to figure out ways to allow our community to develop and grow. I'm kind of a guy that worries about the budget a lot. So budget planning and meetings with the county administrator so that we can streamline our operation. How do we computerize? How do we move forward with IT development so down the road we can survive? Did the same thing when I was at the city of Kennewick for 18 years. I want to know how we can get better at what we do with less money. And my fear is that eventually you get down the road and there will be less money. Now, one of our biggest problems is that we have to accommodate state law and what the state says. And so we can sit here and talk about what the county commissioners are going to do. What they're going to do is they're going to follow state law.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jim. So this closes the question and answer period, and we will end the forum with closing statements. Since Mr. Beaver opened, we will begin closing statements with Mr. McKay. So you have 1 minute, Mr. McKay.
Thank you. Appreciate the time. Just to end, I'm here to fight. I'm here to fight for you guys. I'm, like I said, business owner. We need to be open. We need to educate the business owners. We need to be educating the guests to get reopened. Mr. Beaver, great gentleman, has been doing this for 30 years. I looked up online at the Benton Franklin Health meetings. Out of 9 meetings, he's missed 6. He's only been to 3 of those meetings. He's not representing us, and we need to be represented with a person that's going to be at the meetings to represent the constituents, whether it's with the health district, with the Clean Air Authority, with any of the meetings that to help better ourselves. Benton Franklin Transit. I'm here to defend and fight for you guys. And like Mr. Beaver said, we need to follow the laws, but at the same time that we can also be the squeaky wheel. And I plan on being that squeaky wheel because I know the squeaky wheel will get fixed. And thank you for your time.
All right. Thanks a lot, Will. And Mr. Beaver, your final statement.
Thank you again for the opportunity. It's been a privilege to serve our community for so long and contribute to the citizens of Benton County. With respect to meetings missed, sometimes you have overlapping meetings and you have conflicts, and then there are other times where you may be out of town. So I never really said anything to anybody else about their attendance. My record's pretty clear about my attendance. I don't miss very many meetings, and occasionally I have conflicts, or I may have a situation that needs my attention, and so I have to go out of town. I'm not here to defend my record. I think it speaks for itself. The bottom line is we need to build a better community, which I've always tried to do. I've done it for 30 years, and I want to move forward. So I'm hopeful that we have goals and objectives, and we talk about the future of our community and draw a picture of what it's going to look like. Let's see where we're going to go. Once again, thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you very much, Will McKay and Jim Beaver. We thank you two very much, and we certainly appreciate you taking time to be with us for the Tri-City Regional Chamber's 2020 Candidate Forum featuring the Benton County Commissioner Position 3 candidates. And as we begin the countdown to Election Day on November 3rd, please remind your Benton County friends to watch, share, and get out the vote. And you can find this video and other candidate forum videos on the Tri-City Regional Chamber website, and that is www.tricityregionalchamber.com, tricityregionalchamber.com. And again, we want to thank the Chamber, Keeper Action News, the candidates, the sponsors, and they are Cascade Natural Gas, GISA Credit Union, and JLH Group, and especially to all of you who are watching out there. I'm Scott Stovall from Keeper Action News, reminding you to vote. Have a great day.